Look, I need something to stop me from all that damn sweat. Alright. Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's K.Michelle. We are back with a new video. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I know one thing. I enjoyed my weekend. You know, it was just, we had family over, friends over. I learned this new game called CLR. You get people to gather around the table, play with $3. You roll 3 dice for $1 for each dollar. One goes to the left, one goes to the right, or to the center, or you get to keep your money. And you know, I thought it was gonna be a difficult game, but that game became fun and it was competitive. And my friend Sharon, she won the pot. Congratulations to you, Sharon. With the XO, I had a great time. I've just been having a good weekend until yesterday. Found out that my mother, because by the time I woke up, it was the afternoon. My mom was taken to the hospital. My mom's she's doing better today. I talked to her nurse. She's doing so much better. And hopefully I can have another good update for you guys tomorrow. I don't want to say all the stuff that's going on, but she's doing much better. And you know, she was kind of sad when I was there, and she really, you know, she can't speak. But she was trying to communicate with me, and she was crying and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Let me tell y'all something. I just want everybody out there to know, like, I know when your parents, my mom is getting older, and she kind of like is stuck to the ways that she's in. But, you know, you got to try to, because when she comes home, we're going to try to work a lot of things out. Because I don't want the hospital to be like the normal thing, like, oh, she's just at the hospital, she'll be back. You know, so if you've been there, if you could give me some advice on how you got your parents to change the things that they've done in the past and they're living much better now, please, you can leave it in the comments down below, or you can even write me on Facebook, because I would love to hear from you guys. Another thing that happened over the weekend, Beyonce said, bitch, I'm tired of y'all talking shit about me. Because everybody, you know, been going viral in the Shade Room, including the Scorpion Show, about, bitch, where's this album? All of these memes from different movies. And Beyonce put out a 1-minute trailer. No, she put out a 15-second trailer at first. Or was it 30 seconds? I don't remember. And it said that the Lemonade, whatever, is coming on HBO. Now, I don't know if this is a video album. I'm sure it's not a documentary. It might be a visual album. And it might go on iTunes the next night. I don't know. But Beyonce got the girls going crazy, because y'all know how if my social media was lit up, I know yours was lit up, like you didn't know, you know. But I know you got something to say about this. I know you hype about it.
No, I'm just waiting to Saturday.
I told Mikhail I want him to be over here on Saturday night so we could go right into it right afterwards. Yeah. I'm hoping that you know, she drops the album maybe. I don't know what she's going to do. Maybe the album going to come afterwards. Because there's no reason to tell you to watch HBO if it's already on iTunes. I don't know. But I'm kind of excited to hear this new music, because people like, bitch, how dare you go on the stadium tour with all your old songs. We want some new songs, but we want to know the words before you start performing them. We don't want to go to this tour and not know the words. But, you know, I think that Beyonce's lyrics are very catchy enough. So if she did give y'all the microphone, y'all would fucking know it. Y'all would know it. So I'm just really excited for her. And let's see what this Lemonade project is about on April the 23rd, 9 p.m. on HBO. Now, if you don't have HBO, I'm sure HBO is trying to get y'all to sign up for a free month trial. So go look. Or go to somebody's house that got HBO and have a party, bitch. Have a fucking party. Have all the girls come over, get some pizza, have some drinks, and watch Beyonce slay, because that's what's going to happen. I'm really excited. I hope something comes out, like a song or something comes out this week that, like, keep hyping the girls up, like Beyonce. Then she released a 1-minute trailer yesterday on her Facebook page, and it was like showing previews, and you could see how the girls was dancing.
The tour starts next Wednesday.
Yes, and the girls were dancing and moving. Like, it was so decent. Ooh. The way they was. You didn't see that clip?
No, I
seen that. I seen that clip on her Facebook page. It's gonna. Everybody's gonna be talking Saturday night. This past yesterday, I also had a chance to watch the Kerry Washington, Wendell Pierce film, Confirmation. It told the story about Anita Hill who went to Capitol Hill. Was it Capitol Hill? She went to Capitol Hill to testify against. She was sexually harassed by Clarence Thomas, who was on the Supreme Court justice. But before he was confirmed to be on the nomination, they were trying to get him on anything so he couldn't be confirmed as a Supreme Court justice because he was replacing Thurgood Marshall, and people just didn't feel like he was the right person to be nominated by George Bush to take over after Thurgood Marshall. And some people felt that it shouldn't even be a black person replacing Thurgood Marshall on the Supreme Court. I enjoyed the film, but you know what? After watching the Anita Hill documentary, there was nothing really new that I learned from this film. Now, there was a lady named Angela. Oh my goodness!
Was the one played by Jennifer Hudson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked her.
Yeah, I seen that part. Like, I didn't know about her from watching the documentary, but I just felt that, it's just crazy, like how we be elected some fucking dickheads to be senators and to go to Washington and things like that. The stuff that they were saying, like, they were trying to make it seem like she was crazy. Anita Hill thing was, I will talk, but I don't want my name out there. I don't, she didn't want none of that. Mm-hmm. Her thing wasn't to tear him down, but she wanted to speak out about what happened to her and how he was talking about how large his thing was and how he called it Long Dong Silver. And I didn't know that back in that time it was like a real big thing, like SNL and Living Color. Remember that show? They were making all kinds of jokes about this hearing with her, and I mean she really didn't have any intent to be negative, with trying to take him down, because she wasn't worried about it. They called her, like she said, they called me, I did not call them. And Clarence Thomas Stewart was confirmed 52-48, and I guess that's what it is. But for her, with her speaking out, claims of sexual harassment went up by 50%, and also more women started to get into Congress because they didn't like the treatment that she received. I mean, they treated her like hell. Joe Biden made her say the same shit over. It was just them men were a hot ass mess, the way they treated the situation.
But can we talk about the actor that played Joe Biden with his voice? Like, he sounded just like Joe Biden. It was like, wow. But anyway, go back to what you were saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it was just, they just treated her really wrong and bad. And I mean, that's just the way that some men are, and that's the way they still are today. Like, they still look at women like, you supposed to be at home with the kids, not in men's business, not in this kind of business. But a lot of things are changing, and they've been changing for a long time. And I'm just glad that it was good to see this story come back out again for people that have never heard about Anita Hill. And if someone is sexually harassing you, you do have a voice. You should use your voice to speak up and say something. You don't have to sit there and tolerate that. I really enjoyed the film, but I really didn't learn nothing new except for about the Angela woman. But it was just crazy to see how how the men were portrayed. I can't think of it was one in particular, John Hart something. Oh my God! And he was just saying like, oh, she's mentally ill. That's why she passed the test, because she convinced herself that this really happened to her when it didn't happen to her. I mean, he was just real crazy with what he was saying, and I'm like, nobody said nothing about this back in the day. Like, nobody stood up and said anything.
Well, a lot of people at that time were upset with Anita Hill because of the fact, of course, you're nominating this man for one of the highest, positions in the United States, the Supreme Court, and she's claiming that he said things. Now, mind you, one of the reasons why I always felt like Anita Hill was telling the truth, because many of the things that she was saying was not necessarily that he physically touched her in any way, but she was saying, no, he didn't touch me, he didn't, rape me, he didn't do anything. He didn't even really necessarily say that he wanted to have sex with me. He was just saying some inappropriate things to me that he shouldn't have been saying as my boss. a lot of people, and that was one of the reasons why I said, well, this woman could easily say he raped her, he did this, but she didn't say any of that. She just said, listen, he didn't touch me, he just was saying stuff that he should not have been saying. But a lot of people were upset with her or just like confused with her at that time, a lot of those senators, because they were like, listen, you're coming out days before we nominate this man on whether or not he's going to become the next Supreme Court justice. Not only that, but you're talking about stuff that did or did not happen, may or may not have happened over 10 years ago. Because she hadn't worked with him for a very, very long time. So a lot of them are like, well, wait a minute, this has happened like 10 years ago. Why are you just saying something now, days before we are set to nominate him? And it got a lot of people upset. Like, come on now, you have to be working for somebody. You gotta be lying, because there's no way on earth that this man did this to you that long ago. You never said anything about it, but yet you're saying something about it now. But what Anita Hill had on them was like, listen, yeah, this happened years ago. Like you said, I didn't say that I wanted to say something. People from your offices contacted me to try to dig up dirt on him, and instead of me lying, I told them the truth. But I told them the truth not because I wanted to, drag this man's name in the mud, but this will not be the first time I said something about this. In fact, Anita Hill had actually said something to different colleagues in the past when it first happened, that he was saying these things. She may not have reported, I can't remember if she reported him to anybody big in their company or anything like that, but I remember in the documentary that was on Netflix, where she talks about, the real Anita Hill, she talks about how she indeed went to many of her colleagues to let them know what Clarence Thomas was saying to her at the time that she was working for him. And many of those colleagues came to the U.S. Capitol during the hearings to testify on her behalf, to say, yes, she did say something to us years ago about this. This isn't the first time she said something about it. She said something to us years ago. And, she did have a group to come and back her. But at the end, as we all know, as history would have it, Clarence Thomas was eventually nominated, and he got all the votes that he needed to become the next Supreme Court justice, and he's been on the bench for the past 25 years now. And like Kevin said, after that Anita Hill incident, it sparked a huge group of women to come out and say, listen, this is what's been going on at my job. My boss has been saying crazy things. My boss has touched me, this, that, and the third. And it's interesting because Clarence Thomas at that time had a lot of black women supporting him. They felt as though this was, this was something to just bring this black man down, and how could this black woman say this about this black man? How dare she try to bring this black man down when he got a good thing going for him? You know what I mean? It was just a lot, and Anita Hill really didn't have any big support. You know what I mean? It was her and her team, and they were basically on their own. And for a while, Anita Hill was ridiculed, because even after Clarence Thomas became the Supreme Court justice, a lot of people still thought that she was lying and said a lot of mean and nasty things to her. And to this day, a lot of people think that she lied about her claims against Clarence Thomas. I am one of those people that don't think she lied. I don't think she lied at all. I think there was a lot of truth to what she was saying, because you have a lot of men, when they get in certain power or they have some sort of authority, they will use it against people that they know can't hold a candle to them when it comes time to report things. And I think one of the things that the senators were saying, or one of the things that they were saying was, well, if this man had been saying this stuff and doing these things to you for such a long time, why every time he went to a certain company or this, that, and the third, you followed behind him? Yes. They couldn't understand why, if this man was saying all these nasty things, she would still continue to work for him. And her thing was, listen, I just thought, well, listen, he ain't touching me. He's just saying some crazy things, so I'm going to just rock out with, and I'm just going to fight. And you do have a lot of people like that. You really do. It even goes on today. I know some people who, not necessarily their bosses, but you got people in relationships like that, where They're in physically abusive relationships, and you can't for the life of me understand why you are staying with a man that's beating you, but somehow, some way in that person's head, they got it all worked out. Well, I'm staying with them because they can help me do this. And you're like, well, why the hell? You know, only they know. Only them and God knows why she stayed with Clarence Thomas for so long as one of his employees. But it really is a good movie. Now, I did not see the whole thing. I saw it, but it really, really got me as I was watching it to like really go back and study up on that whole thing. And it's interesting because you think that 1991, that was what, 25 years ago. A lot of people's like, that's a long time ago. And it really is a long time ago. And as I was watching the movie, I was saying to myself, wow, a lot of the people, a lot of the key players in that whole thing, a lot of them are still living. Like Joe Biden, Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas, George Bush, who was in his 90s now. A lot of these people are still living to this day. And it would really be interesting. Of course, it would never happen, but it would be interesting to get all of them in a room together to kind of like talk about that. Because that was a major thing back in the early 90s. That was a big thing.
I wonder how Clarence Thomas's wife, how does she feel about the whole thing? Did she ever believe Anita Hill or anything like that? I'm sure they still married.
Well, no, they are still married. So I don't know if she
speak out on it.
I don't know. But you know what's interesting about Clarence Thomas? Clarence Thomas is a very private man. And this is an interesting thing too. I don't know if any of you pay attention. You know when the presidents do their State of the Union address and this, that, and the third, and they have the Supreme Court Justice. Clarence Thomas has never ever attended a State of the Union address. If you ever know, Clarence Thomas does not attend things like that. He just does not partake. And I don't know if it's because he's on that whole, let's say that whole Beyonce thing, like I don't gotta go anything like that. Or it may be because of the whole incident that happened during the 25 years ago, and it may be something that many of us say, well, that happened so long ago, why is he still stuck on that? But it's like, well, you know, because I could have not only lost my job, but lost this position. So whatever the case may be, but Clarence Thomas is a very private man, and he rarely, if ever, does interviews. So I don't know, but it would be interesting to get a lot of them in a room together to talk about what exactly happened back in 1991. No, it was in my bag. I thought that it was something, but I realized it was in the chair.
So I have a question for y'all. If you have been, what's the word, sexually harassed at work, how did you handle that situation? Did you be quiet? Did you say something? And what happened after you said something? Did the upper people treat you different? Was that person reprimanded? Let us know what happened. I want to read them in the comments down below. So let's move on to K.Michelle. Now over the weekend, it was this big thing going on saying that K.Michelle was banned from all Radio 1 stations. And some Atlantic Records, who is K.Michelle's record label, they were saying that can't be true because they've been playing some of her music on some different channels like around the United States, but it's not the majority. And then also, this is on John Murray's website, alwaysalist.com, and he had like, you know, like you see how many times a song was played on the radio. It's like her songs have been down like 200 spins and stuff like that. Down.
Meaning they're not getting played.
They're not getting played on the radio. So what happened was, K.Michelle, Little Mo, who is now on a new radio station. Well, she's on a radio station in Washington D.C. and she does a morning show. Shout out to Little Mo. I haven't talked to her in a while, but she has this new morning show. And on April 1st, K.Michelle was supposed to meet up with, you know, radio listeners. You know how they do, like, they'll tell you to come to the radio station and they'll have breakfast and do an interview and all of them things like that. And K.Michelle did not show up to this thing. Now, the backstory to what they're saying is K.Michelle wanted to stay at the Ritz-Carlton in Washington, D.C., but they were booked, so she had to stay in Baltimore. And K.Michelle didn't want to have to drive an hour from Baltimore to the radio station something like that. So she ended up not coming to the event, and the people that were there at the station, like the fans and stuff, they were upset because they're thinking this is a goddamn April Fool's joke, and it wasn't an April Fool's joke.
She just really didn't show up.
She really didn't show up, and one of the they were saying that one of the people that was there missed their chemotherapy appointment to meet up with K.Michelle that day. I guess they was going to tell her how inspiring she was and things like that, but that didn't happen. So, Kathy Hughes, who is the owner of Radio
missed a chemotherapy session
for K.Michelle. I wouldn't have. She just would have had to call me or something.
But it's not even just for K.Michelle. It's just period. Why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about your life and your safety and well-being.
Mm-hmm. It's a chemotherapy treatment for K.Michelle. So I haven't heard K.Michelle say anything.
Goofy.
But Kathy Hughes was like, you know what? Don't play her on our radio stations.
Because she stood all these people up.
Because she stood the people up. And it probably been some other stuff. Now, I don't know if... I don't know what station Charlemagne's radio station is. But some people were also just saying, like, maybe... K.Michelle coming to the radio station and getting into that thing with Angela Yee about you're supposed to support me and you're supposed to be for women and all of that stuff. So I don't know if it stemmed from that as well. But
no, I doubt it.
I don't know what radio stations they're a part of.
No, I doubt it because if it did stem from if let's say if that was the case, then why even invite her to that event?
Yeah, I know they said they haven't been playing K.Michelle music on that radio station. It's after she came up there,
to Charlemagne and them.
Yeah,
but I just can't see them not playing her on Radio 1 because of what happened at Charlemagne and them event, especially when they invited her to come to their event. Like, why would you do that? So I doubt if that has anything to do with it. I think it has everything to do with the fact that she just didn't show up to this event that she was supposed to show up for, and they had all these people here waiting for her. You know what I mean? I like K.Michelle. K.Michelle was on our show. We interviewed her. We had a good time. We lost a few people after our interview with her. But, God is still good. But, at the same time, it's like sometimes you have to, I don't even know what to say. It's just like, I would hope that when people get to a certain level of celebrity, that they would not have their nose above the cloud, but it's that's not the reality that we live in. And unfortunately, because I would never expect K.Michelle to do something like this, and it's very unfortunate because you would want your songs to be played on a station like Radio 1 because Radio 1 targets a lot of, if not all, African Americans. And we always gripe about how our songs are not always regularly played on the pop stations and this, that, and the third. Unless you are certain black artists, then your songs get played on the pop station. But when you don't have your songs being played on the pop station, and the only stations you really have your songs being played on are the black stations, and then you got a big black station saying we're not going to play you, then that doesn't help you at all. Especially when you're down 200 spins. That doesn't help you at all. So I would hope that whatever high horse K.Michelle is sitting herself on, that she would downgrade it to a pony so that she can still get these radio
she need to make it
spins
right.
And make it right because you don't want to lose out on spins on the radio and essentially lose out on money. Like, you just don't want to do that. Now, I was all here for your whole thing with Angela Yee because I think your thing with Angela Yee, I think, I would have did the same damn thing. I would have got you together on your show since you got me together on your show. I got you together on your show too. I wouldn't have said it behind your back. I would have said it to you. But that's a totally different situation. We're talking about a situation where you were invited to attend something for people and you just totally did not show up because you didn't want to drive an hour or whatever that the time was. Not necessarily you driving anyway.
But you would
have to get up extra early. You know what I mean? Sometimes we got to do what we got to do, K.Michelle. You know what I mean? Sometimes we really have to do what we have to do. And I'm not trying to be smart. So I don't want you or anybody else. No, well, I haven't said it yet. But I am not trying to be smart. And I don't want you or anybody else who may like you or support you to think that I'm trying to be smart. But you have to remember, you are not on the level of somebody like a Rihanna or a Beyonce or a Kim Kardashian or Kanye West. You're not there. You're K.Michelle, which means that sometimes you got to go that extra mile. Just like if they want Kevin and I to do something, Kevin and I have to remember, we're not B. Scott. So sometimes we got to go that extra mile. Because B. Scott is very big in the blogosphere. You know what I mean? And sometimes we got to eat our humble pie. And like my pastor says, stay in your lane. We can't merge into B. Scott's lane because we ain't achieved what B. Scott has achieved. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that you're corny or anything like that, but sometimes you have to be humble and you have to do what it is that you have to do. And if you had to drive that extra mile, then you just need to drive that extra mile to get to that place.
And then when you get to a certain status, then you don't have to do that.
And then you don't have to do that because then you know what happened? The Ritz-Carlton to kick somebody out. And when there's a will, there's a way. Okay?
Yeah.
And so somebody, oh, you got to go because we got a very important VIP coming. But you're obviously not at that level yet. And it's okay because I ain't at the level either. Me and you, we can still go to Fridays and have a meal. No, I know you got a couple dollars, so you can take me to Chickens and Beats.
You tried it. Y'all can at least go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse. So that is the end. This is the end of part 1. Make sure y'all check for part 2 in the afternoon, 3 p.m. in the afternoon on Tuesday. That video will be up.
Ooh,
so we're gonna be talking about
it's hot in his room today, y'all.
Future and Sierra,
Jesus.
Brandy, Trina, Odell Beckham and Drake. Yusuf, we got a couple of topics, so we gotta hurry up because I got something. So we're gonna be back for the next video. We'll see y'all for part 2.
Bye. Have now allowed him to damage or tarnish your career to the fact that every time he mentions you, people don't buy his stuff. They just talk bad about you. Whereas though, that's the total opposite for a lot of artists. Some artists, when you got people talking bad about them, people go to buy their stuff. And you be trying to figure out, why isn't this artist responding back? And they're not responding back because the checks and coins are still coming in.